Good evening, everybody. Can we have everybody take seats, please? Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Before we get started with the official agenda for tonight's meeting, this afternoon, or actually about 1 o'clock this afternoon, a bunch of stuff showed up at our front door unannounced. A bunch of Shabbat candles and a whole bunch of matzo ball soup. So I told the rabbi I was going to auction them off, but I really won't. If anybody's interested in taking one, they're in the kitchen. Feel free to take one home. They're kosher, so they're great for Passover. Who dropped them off? I have no idea. I lugged the candles home to put them away because there's no room here to store them. So when we need them, we'll bring them back. But they were just dropped off right on their steps. December of 2024. So you don't want one, Jen? Is that what you're telling me?
And they all go as part of our,
Yes, but we have had Amy and I have had a conversation about it. If people are not interested in it, we will give it to the family table. Okay. There's two bottles. There's two bottles of gefilte fish too. So on the side it says Roach Brothers, but I don't know if they just dropped it off or why or who did it. Nothing at all. So, anyways, if you're interested, please take one on your way out. Rabbi, I thought Jerry had something she wanted to. About 5 minutes. All right, well, you want me to wait, or should I just start and then we start? Okay, all right, so a couple of quick things. My best friend here, Rhonda Jelinek, is going to be handling the nominating committee information for your benefit, and then she's going to talk about the budget for fiscal 24, July 1 to June 30th. The new members of the board start July 1 of this year. So I know that Joe was hoping he'd get away with not coming to another meeting, but no, Joe, you have to come. Rhonda, if you want to start off with the nominating committee.
yeah. Okay, hello. So the nominating committee consisted of myself, David Reichman, Jen Faber, and Marty McIntosh. Marty here? Yeah. So I want to thank them for helping with this process, which is a big undertaking. We have to figure out who wants to step off the board, or who will be stepping off the board, and who we'd like to have represented on the board of directors. So this year we had several positions to fill. Craig's position was coming up to end this June, and the vice president positions were as well. So we had to fill we filled three vice president positions, the president position, and we also filled 5 general board positions. So the slate was announced. Hopefully you all saw it, so it should not be a surprise. Craig has agreed, thankfully, to stay on as president for 1 more year. And Jen Delaney is going to take on a vice president role with the intention that next year she will be president of the temple. So she's going to work very closely with Craig this year to acclimate herself to that role. The other 2 vice presidents will be Adam Kempner, and he's staying on for another 2-year role. And Alicia Dancy stepping up from general board to vice president. And then for general board, thankfully Howard Wiseman has agreed to stay on for till June of 2026. The general board positions are 3-year positions in general. Scott Weber is going to step onto the board for 3 years till June of 2026. Jane Dunlap will step on till June of 2026, as will Beth Herr. Beth and Jane are long-term members of TCS. Jane's been involved in the choir, and Beth has been active as well with Sisterhood. And David Flashenberg will step on, thankfully David, I saw David here, he will step on as a general board member for 2 years, filling the remainder of what Alicia Dancy had on her general board position. So his term will end June of 2025. Howard Wiseman has been a long-term member as well, and contributes greatly to the board. Scott Weber has also been involved in Brotherhood and music with David. So everybody is coming to the board with a lot of different experiences and things to contribute. I'm really excited about having them all join the board. So what I need to do is get a motion from someone to accept the slate, and then those that are here that are being nominated.
I think we go out first before you get
Did we?
the second.
Yeah, we'll have them step out before we have the second, and then we'll take a vote.
I so move.
Okay. Okay, we need everybody who is,
That was Steve Braidman and Michael Collin.
Yep.
For Elaine's minutes.
so Craig, Jen Delaney, Adam Kempner, Alicia Dancy, Howard Wiseman, Scott Weber, if you're here, Jane Dunlap, Beth Herr, and David Flashenberg, please step out. Okay, so we had someone second, we had a second already?
Yep.
Okay, so any questions, first of all, about the slate? Anyone's qualifications, anything? Okay. All in favor to accept the slate as presented? Any noes? Any abstaining? Okay, so moved. Thank you. Thank you. Right.
That was very quick. We were very surprised. We wanted to schmooze in there for a little while, and you guys beat us to it. First of all, I want to thank everybody for supporting the nominating committee and the selections. And from a personal standpoint, I'm very much honored to serve another year as your president. Thank you to my wife who allowed me to do that. I'm looking forward to the next year. I'm looking forward to working with the current board and the new board members. There are 3 people that are stepping down. Josh Slovin, who was a VP for two years, and is very active in the synagogue, but he's also active in the Boy Scouts, and so he's moving, so he needed to take some time to do that. So I very much appreciate his service to this community. The next 2 people are very special to me, and I think special to this congregation. I think Franny Spivak has been an amazing member of the board and a member of this community. anybody who can take on ONEG and hassle all you people to come to Friday night services and bring something, gets a star in my book. She's been fantastic. She's got great ideas on the board. She was very active on the board, very active in the sisterhood, and she's still hanging around. But she decided that it was time, with her kids getting older, that she wanted to spend some more time with them. So I want to express my real appreciation to Franny for the work that she does and has done as a member of the board. Last but certainly not least is my good friend Joe Emerson. Joseph has been a rock star around membership. He has worked, let me go back, step back. What, 2.5 years ago, Joe? About that, okay. I said to Joe, look, you gotta do me a favor. We got this welcoming membership committee, we need some help. Can you take it on 6 months and I'll find somebody else? Okay? And every 6 months he'd come to me and say, Craig, it's been another 6 months. I said, Joe, I'm sorry, I'm trying. So we expect that Joe will continue on the membership committee. We're looking for somebody to take on more responsibility. I believe that Mrs. Kempner is going to step forward and do a little bit of work, maybe a lot of work with the membership committee. So I very much appreciate that, Teresa. That's very kind of you. But Joseph, we know that you're going to be around. We know that I have your telephone number. I got your cell number, your home number, everything. So you know I can get a hold of you if I need to. And I very much appreciate all the work that you've done and will continue to do, and that you've been successful in bringing in some new people to this community. And we have some people in the line, in the queue, as they say, for potential membership. So I'm very excited about what will continue to be a very important committee. So Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of my best friend Rhonda, I believe Jerry's here, and Jerry has asked for a couple of minutes to talk about a project that the kids at Sulam are doing and that she needs our help. So, Jerry, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's lovely to see you, and I really appreciate a few minutes of your indulgence. So every year on Mother's Day weekend, we like to give the teachers and the mothers a day off from Sulam, but we don't want to give the kids a day off from learning because Jewish education doesn't stop. So we have created a Havdalah program where we get to celebrate the end of Shabbat together, and always trying to come up with new and exciting and different ways to introduce them to how to celebrate together. And one of our religious school themes this year, as you may have heard, is Kehila Kadosha, which means holy community. And since the idea of holy community really is that many of us come together and we make one, and so I came up with an idea to create a fabric piece that we will then cut into small pieces to make spice bags from. So we go from many of us to one community, and from one community to individual worshipers and students and learners and parents and volunteers and friends. So with the help of the fabulous Denise Morgan, she drew a chamsa and created like a mandala, and the kids started to color it in on Sunday. But as you can see, there's a lot more to color in. So we thought that we would invite all of you to color in a piece or two, whatever you want to take a few minutes to do before the end of the committee meeting, congregational meeting, so that we're really creating a piece that is in fact from the community and represents the community. So I hope that you'll take a few minutes at the end of the meeting to fill it in a little bit. We want to leave room for the kids to finish it on Sunday, but to the extent that you can help us make some progress, we'd really appreciate your input, and I love the idea that together we're all creating something. So thank you for the time. So I'll put it in the multi-purpose room. It'll be spread out on a table with fabric markers.
Thank you, Jerry. I keep referring to Rhonda as my best friend. I just want to tell you the story, because some of you don't know the story. When we approached Rhonda about taking on the job as treasurer after a fabulous job that David Reichman did for 2 or 3 years. Elaine said to her, just be clear, Rhonda, if you take on this job, you're going to become Craig's best friend. So just be aware that's going to happen to you, and it has happened, there's no question about it. I think she spends more time talking to me than I spend talking to my wife, or you spend talking to David. So, but we very much appreciate all the work that you have put in this year. And I know how it's been a learning curve for you, and you've done a terrific job, and I look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, well, David Reichman is a hard act to follow, so I will see if I can do this justice. Okay, so this year, our revenue and our expenses were about even, primarily due to another year of generous donations. Without the use of the, everybody remembers what Shalom Care is? Okay, so a year and a half ago, we received an anonymous grant of $100,000 for financial aid assistance for congregants. It was earmarked especially for financial aid, and we are allowed to use up to $30,000 a year for it. Last year, we had some money already budgeted for financial aid before we received the grant, the restricted grant. So we only used $9,000 of it last year. This year, we did use $30,000 of it to cover financial aid. It's supposed to cover essentially all of our financial aid, if not, or most of it. So $141,412, $30,000 was used from the restricted gift to offset financial aid. Despite our revenue generating $7,000 less than budgeted, our expenses are estimated to be about $29,000 under budget. I say estimated because we have 6.5 weeks left of this fiscal year. This is excellent because we were anticipating over a $20,000 budget deficit in the current budget, so we ended up coming in about even. We're ending the fiscal year with about the same as what we had last year in our operating account. We did transfer in $30,000 from the Shalom Care, the restricted gift. So that's good news. We didn't take a deficit this year as we thought we would because our expenses came in and our fundraising was much higher than we thought. So this is this year. So we have an estimated income of about $439,000. As you'll see, 55% of it comes from dues and about 37% comes from donations and fundraising, philanthropy. 8% is from Hebrew school, religious school tuition. And our expenses are estimated to be about $436,000. 73% is spent on salary and benefits. That's not a surprise. It's been like that for a while. Most of our expenses are salary and benefits. 9% from the building and 18% other expenses. So comparison over the past this year and last year, our membership's about the same as last year. Our Sulam students in grades K through 7 went down slightly. Our income was less. The year before, we still had a PPP grant from the federal government for COVID, so that was reflected in that. We didn't get that, obviously, this year. Our expenses were less this year than the year before. And our donations and fundraising were still strong, slightly below what we received the year before, but still very strong. Your generosity is key. This year we had a high Holy Day appeal. We raised $83,000 approximately in that. We had 60 donors altogether. $55,000 came in major gifts of $5,000 to $30,000. Our Hanukkah appeal, we had 25 donors and we had one major gift of $10,000. General giving, we'll bring in about $15,000 this year. Those are those $18 gifts and the $36 gifts you give in honor of somebody and memory of someone throughout the year. It adds up to about $15,000 this year. For the race, the awesome race that we had with Adam and Teresa running it, we brought in, after expenses, $18,500. And the comedy night and raffle that we just had with David Jelinek, $7,600. after expenses, after we paid out the $5,000. Again, the restricted gift was used as well, so we have a total of $169,100 in fundraising and philanthropy, which if you divide it out by household, is $1,191 per family household. So that shows you how important it is to continue our fundraising and our donations to the level that we've been doing for the past few years in order to pay our bills and make our budget. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So this is, David will pass out the budget, proposed budget going forward for next year. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I make it too small? Sorry. Listen.
When you make it that small, people can't read it, so you can't ask any questions.
Everybody get out your magnifying glasses, your reading glasses. Talk louder? Okay. Okay, so I have some really exciting news. Well, after this, we approved, this budget was approved by the Board of Directors on May 10th to present tonight, just so you know. But our exciting news is that this month our primary mortgage is going to be paid in full. So that's really exciting. We're going to save about $850 a month on our mortgage payment, so that's great. We still have a loan on the roof. We took a second mortgage on the roof, but that is about $18,000, so we're doing pretty well on that. Okay, so this is what we're estimating this year to end with in 6 weeks and what we're proposing for next year. So we're proposing that we budget $443,735 in income, $439,005 in expenses, and a net income of $4,730. You'll see that our annual commitments are budgeted to go up a little bit because Joe Emerson has been doing an amazing job with the welcoming committee and the membership committee, and they have a number of families that are interested in joining. So we're hopeful that that will come to be, and that that's where you see that number reflected on annual commitments. We have budgeted what you see for religious school, and we're increasing our fundraising efforts for next year. We'll probably add another larger event or an additional event in addition to the road race and whatever else we do. So we'll probably have 3 fundraising events next year. And our donations this year, we brought in $115,000, and we're budgeting $112 next year. We're hopeful that our the philanthropy will continue like it has over the last several years. So we will also use $30,000 of that restricted financial aid money, which will bring us to the $443,000. So we have, this year, we have 145 members versus 142 members. Like I just said, we're hoping that we'll increase it to that number. We're estimating we'll have 18 Sulam students in K through 7. That's if we don't add any additional children in our Hebrew school, so that number will hopefully go up. There will be no increase in dues and tuition. We're anticipating $150,000 in fundraising and donations, and again, we'll use that restricted gift. Our expenses are expected to stay similar to what we spent this year. The amount budgeted for teacher salaries will decrease because we have less children in the Hebrew school, and our estimated expenses will reflect similar amounts to what we spent this year. So those are the key metrics. I think I already went over that, where we will come up with that, the income and what our expenses will be. Okay, this year, it'll be similar to what we have, next year will be similar to what we have this year, where we're finishing in a few weeks. We will have 63% come from dues, hopefully 32% from donations, and 5% from tuition. And our expenses, again, salary and benefits will be what makes up the majority of our expenses. There's not much to play with expenses. Like I said, our first mortgage is paid off next fiscal year. The salaries, there's not much we can do with that as far as decreasing the cost. So our expenses are pretty static in that respect. So our commitment to you is the same as we said last year, to provide financial resources we need to continue fulfilling the temple's missions and living within our means, not spending more than what we bring in, and focusing on bringing in new members, as we've been working on for this year, and bringing in the same amount of very generous fundraising that we've had over the last several years. Does anybody have any questions? Yep.
So can I ask a question about the Hebrew school? If we only have 18 kids, how many teachers do we have? And are we lowering that number of teachers? And are we bringing in teachers who's expensive there? I know we already don't know the school there.
Yes, we are. Yeah, Alicia, do you want to speak to that?
There'll be 3 teachers for Suman next year, so there will be mixed ages, so they'll be groups. And that will, the grouping will vary depending on the age of the student. So depending on who's there, it could be K1, a 2, 3, a 4, 5. And then on Wednesday for Gesher, there will only be 1 teacher. So there will be a 7th grade class, but there will not be a 6th grade class. So we actually have 2. So there are actually 2. He's actually not the only one. So there are 2 current 5th graders. One of them goes with the 4th grade for some of the learning, and also the 6th grade. So they're sort of bridging that gap. They went to Sunday school and then also come to Wednesday Gesher. So that student will move up with that 7th grade class. And then there is another student who's were better at sticking with that 4th grade. So they'll essentially be in the 5th grade class.
Can everybody hear that?
So it's not development.
Alicia, why don't you come up?
Ali, why don't you come up here because people can't hear you?
Jen, can you repeat that question again?
I said, I don't need to be paid, but we used to have 18 kids in a classroom in the rabbi's office, and with one teacher, it just seems to be that. And I know that overall they don't make a ton of money, but it just seems 3 teachers for 18 kids is a lot.
So I totally, I mean, I totally understand where you're, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So Jen's question was, because there are 18 students, why do we need the staffing numbers that we need? So the reason that we need those staffing numbers is because we're talking about an age range of 5-year-olds to essentially 12 to 13, depending on when that one child has their birthday. It's not developmentally appropriate to put those students all together in, even 1 or 2 classrooms, not only from a social emotional standpoint, but they're not anywhere near working on the same things. So those kids that are in that 5th grade class, they are working on their complex prayers. If you are in kindergarten and 1st grade, we haven't even introduced the Aleph Bet. So it's just not possible to have them all in with one person and to educate them the way that we would like them to be educated. And I mean, I totally understand the numbers, but yeah. Any other questions?
Just one point that's important is that Hebrew school enrollment nationwide is down about 60% in the last 10 or 15 years. So it's not, we're just in the same ballpark as everybody else in terms of numbers going down. That's why we're recruiting younger families, hoping we can bring in some younger students and begin to build back the school.
Yep.
Just a question, like you get a primary mortgage, you pay off the loan for the roof. Would you know what's the interest rate we're paying on that?
6%,
Is that fixed?
yes.
I didn't know, was there any thought or discussion about now that we're paying off our primary to take some portion of that number to help accelerate the roof?
It's a, yes, Mike was asking about the second mortgage that we have for the roof. The balance and the interest rate is a 6% fixed rate. It's, I believe that it's about $250 a month or something like that, maybe $225 a month is the payment. We owe about $18,500 left on that. We could do a fundraiser to try to pay that off, or we could accelerate the payments. I don't know, I mean, the entire amount we spend each year is $2,820, I think, so it's not a huge impact to our budget, but it's something to consider definitely. Yeah. I mean, with interest rates the way they are, I don't think we'll be able to move that interest rate much, but we also don't get residential rates. We get commercial rates, so it's a little different. Anyone else? No one else has any questions? Okay. Okay, all right, so if no one else has any other questions, we will take a motion to accept the budget as it has been presented tonight for the fiscal year of 23-24. Okay. Second?
So who moved?
Who do you think, bro?
David Jelinek, and who was the second? Was that Lou? Lou Levine seconded, Elaine.
Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, so I guess it is approved. Thank you.
Rabbi, is there something you would like to add to the discussion tonight, or am I surprising the heck out of you? I have no doubt about that. I just want to know.
Don't invite the rabbi to say something unless you want the rabbi to say something. So, first of all, I want to echo your comments before with your gratitude to the board members who are leaving the board, and the board members who are coming on the board, and the board members who are remaining on the board. It has been a great pleasure and privilege to work with this group, except you left out one person, and that's you. And I really want to acknowledge and appreciate your tremendous leadership over these last several years. And I really want to thank you, Elaine, for your continuing for another year. So thank you for that. Rhonda, thank you both for the nominating committee and for the budget. It is a tremendous amount of work to wrangle these numbers and these people together, and I really appreciate your work to make this happen, along with the people who worked with you. So thank you for that. Talking about all these numbers, this is the week when we begin reading the Book of Numbers. Our Torah portion this week is about the Book of Numbers. That's where we start, and it is really important for us to think about all of these numbers, all of the numbers of how many students we have and how many teachers and how many members and how much money and all of that. But Jewish tradition often warns us about counting people. We're not really supposed to count people unless God says to take a census of the people. That's what happens in this week's portion. We're told to take a census, so it's okay to do it. There are later examples where we're not told to do it, we do it anyway, and there's a punishment of some kind. Well, the lesson, one of the lessons, is that people are not numbers. Our community needs numbers, but we're not numbers. Right? Our community is torch, and it is sisterhood, and it is brotherhood, and it is our seniors, and it is our teens, and it is our students, and it is our teachers, and it is all of us. Right? But we can't think about what it means to be a community just in terms of the numbers. We need them, but they don't define the entirety of us. We are more than whatever the numbers are, as long as we are together in making this place what it is. So for, again, all of our board members who make us into TCS, for all of our congregants who make us into TCS, that's why we're here, not just for these numbers. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Are there any other items that people would like to bring forward? Any questions? Any comments? I'm very impressed with the turnout tonight. I appreciate it very much. Michael?
So could I ask a census of how many families we have?
Yes, membership committee. No, actually, go ahead, Ron, do you want?
Yeah, it was on the slide, we have 146.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing no other questions, this has been a very short meeting, that's good. What, yes, David? You want the budget papers back? Yeah, usually, yeah, we'll take the budget papers back. Appreciate that. Can I have a motion to adjourn the annual congregational meeting? Ruth Albert, can I have a second for that? Joe Emerson. Anybody want to hang around, or you want to vote to go? Oh, that's right, we have to go do, for Jerry, we have to go color the thing in the multipurpose room. So, all in favor of adjourning to the multipurpose room for doing a little drawing? Anybody opposed? Thank you all very much. Have a great evening. And don't forget to take one of these home. Please.